According to science, porn is a supranormal stimulus. It activates the normal reward mechanism in our brain, but it do so at such a high level that we perceive it to be way more pleasurable than the average arousal stimulus. So let's say that again. What is porn? According to science, porn is a supranormal stimulus, and supranormal is one word. It's in quotation. It activates the normal reward mechanism in our brains, but it does so at such a high level that we perceive it to be way more pleasurable than the average arousing stimulus. As porn causes men to see women mainly as a sex object? Well, that's a question, and that's an open-ended question. I really don't have the answer for that. And if men see women as sex objects, it's probably more than just sex. It's because of the way society is structured and how we view man and woman relationship. It doesn't necessarily contributed from watching porn or watching too much porn. From my experience, I don't see women as a device only for sex because I watch a lot of sex. So that's just me. I mean, this is an open-ended question. I don't have the answer to it. As men see women mainly as sex objects because of porn, I don't know. Do we see them as something just to flip and spin and set in whatever uncomfortable position we see fit? No. No. Man, many men watch porn for the stimulus, and others watch porn to learn new position and to gain confidence. Not every man watch porn for those reasons. There's a million other reasons why men watch porn, but just to have women as a sex toy is not the main reason why men watch porn, right? And remember, in real life, certain sex positions that you see are not pliable in real life. What do I mean by that? The popular positions in porn, people don't usually try those in real life. The shots that you usually see in porn are called the money shots, where the woman is positioned in such a way that the camera is all up in her business. But in real life, no one does that. I mean, one or maybe a few people, but that's not something that people do in their everyday life. So that's just the director's idea of the money shots. Okay, moving on. Another question. Does porn affect women same as men? And we're not talking about in terms of stimulation, getting aroused. We're talking about, does it affect her in ways as objectifying men? Well, as I said before, I don't see men objectifying women as sex toys, sex objects because of porn. This was something long before porn come along. This was something that was happening from the inception of man and woman dynamics, man and woman relationship, society's norms, society's way of seeing how man and woman get along. This isn't because of porn. So if women see men as how we see women in porn, I would not contribute that to porn per se. You know, women, as I've always find men attractive long before porn. You know, so it wouldn't be because of porn why women are objectifying men, vice versa. Are women expecting their men to perform as the men they see in porn? Maybe some. Maybe, it wouldn't be unexpected for a woman to watch porn and then in turn feel as if this is how every man should perform in real life. And vice versa. I want to be very fair and very honest, right? Men watch porn, and in some instances, we do expect our women to perform as how the women in porn perform. Now, is that realistic? No, not every woman is going to be as flexible as a porn star and dirty as a porn star, nasty as a porn star, and open-minded as a porn star. And bear in mind that these women are being paid for what they're doing. And in their real life, they probably hate this kind of stuff or despise it so much that if it wasn't for getting paid, you wouldn't be seeing this in film. So, no. All right. Sex has now become a sport in many men's mind. Yes, not all men, but in many men's mind. We can elaborate on that, or we can just skip past this one. Are men becoming totally out of sync with real-world romantic relationship? This is a very good one. Are men becoming totally out of sync with real-world romantic relationship? Yes. This is partly due to how society, again, is structured. This is because of porn. This is because of how fast everything is evolving, everything is going. We live in a disposable society. So if the expectation isn't met in a duly timely fashion, then, men want to move on. I mean, the days of romance and courtship is possibly over. I'm not saying it's over, but it may be over. And that's sad to admit. Romance isn't dead, but it's dying. And it's not because of porn. I'm not defending porn, but we can't blame every ills that societies face on porn, right? Are men becoming totally out of sync with real-world romantic relationship? Real-world romantic relationships has been dying for a long time, Once we create a society where we put money over people, then of course these things are going to happen. You're working, your woman is working, the kids are being raised by school teachers and nannies. We don't have time for friendship. We barely stay in touch with anyone. We barely have time for ourselves. So real world romantic relationship is dying, yes, but again, I don't contribute it to porn, and I hate to be the defender of porn, which I'm not, but we can't blame all of the smut and filth in society on porn. Talking about smut and filth, how does society view porn? Yeah, degrading, nasty, smutty, filthy. But when you look at the country who watch porn the most, there are some of the most conservative, meaning the most conservative countries in the world that you can think of, they watch the most porn. The most restricted society, they watch the most porn. When you look at the good old USA, and we look at the most conservative states, you can do a simple Google search and you will see that these states watch the most porn. And the dirtiest, the filthiest, the nastiest, the most deprived, the thing that will churn your stomach, these are the people that watch the most porn. But they'll tell you, it's not good for you. It's not good for society. It's not good for humanity. It's not good for the soul, right? So how do you quantify the most religious, the most conservative people watching and enjoying the dirtiest, the filthiest, the nastiest type of porn? How do you quantify that as a society? It's an upside down world. How do we see porn star versus regular woman? Porn stars are usually petite, curvy, lean, well made up, the latest in attire and well presentable, well put together. But is that a reflection of what women look like in the real world? No. Porn stars are somebody's fantasy of what women should be like. It's just like what the lady the other day said about Little Kim. Little Kim is an imagination of Biggie Smalls. So Little Kim herself is not even Little Kim, because he created the image that became Little Kim. You get the analogy? So when you see a porn star, this is not how she look in everyday life. And I need men who watch porn to understand this, that to have your woman and a porn star at the same standard is unfair, because you're lusting and craving off of something that is someone else's imagination. How do we expect a woman to perform versus porn star? We expect our woman, as we discussed before, a bit like the porn stars. Yes. So, you watch porn and it's comfortable to say you come home and you try certain things, or you go to the bedroom and you try certain things, and you want to imagine it as you see it in the video, in the porn video. Not all, not every man, not every woman, but sometimes yes. And we try these things. Some work, some don't work. But can they match up? Can they ever come close? It never match up to what you see in film. How many men are willing to get down on their knees, allow a woman to spit in their mouth, to crush their balls with their eels? I mean, whatever you're into, but it's never gonna be as you see on the video, because a guy going at it for an hour and a half, an hour, you don't see the amount of cuts and takes and the amount of time that he put into getting that one shot, that one scene, or that one video. It probably take days, hours, but you think this was accomplished in a few minutes, but no, So it's never gonna match up. We mentioned earlier the epidemic of erectile dysfunction in teens and adults alike because of porn. And this is not just me saying this, but you could go look it up for yourself, that an overwhelming amount of men and teens are having erectile dysfunction disabilities due to overstimulation of watching porn, right? This is an epidemic. This is something that people are seeking treatment for, right? And this contributed by porn addiction and consumption of porn from an early age. Yes, the overconsumption of porn from young teens or young teenage years until adulthood has caused many men to have early sexual dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, and doctors are treating the symptoms. They're not treating the cause. They're not aware of the epidemic of what porn do to someone who overstimulates and overwatch and overdose on porn. The more you watch, the less stimulated you are, and the more depraved your habits become, because it takes more and more to stimulate you and get you aroused and get you in the mood. So you can see how that will affect someone who binge watch or OD on porn from teenage years on to adulthood. Teenagers are having erectile dysfunction issues. Yes, we know it's common for young men to have anxiety before sex, but this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about young men unable to perform because they're having sexual issues. Not anxiety issues, but erectile dysfunction issues. How is that happening? It's happening because, as we stated up top before, that an overwhelming amount of teenagers are watching porn from an early age. I started watching porn at 13, 14, and I can't say I was ever addicted, but I didn't get a chance to. I didn't have the luxury of cable TV until I was in my, mid-20s. I couldn't afford a VHS, VCR. So those things wasn't a luxury for me. So luckily, I didn't get addicted. But I can see how, and I can understand how kids having access to the internet and the ability to, do things without parental supervision can get addicted to the porn. All right, so we're coming to the end of segment. So what have we learned? We learned that porn is a silent epidemic, and more and more young people are getting addicted to porn. And the idea of a young man having sexual issues in the bedroom is not uncommon nowadays. We see where the idea of being more religious, more conservative, doesn't necessarily translate to being holy or righteous. And this is why the podcast is called The Righteous Sinner, because it's an oxymoron, right? So for those who you know to be the most righteous, most upright, they may be the most deviant in our society. What goes on behind these closed doors, we don't know. And yet still, some of these people are the ones that get to make the decisions as to what we consume and what we don't consume, But where were we? Yeah. All right. So winding down, I must admit that I do enjoy porn, and I've been watching porn since my early teens. My preference, I prefer black porn or maybe interracial porns. But what's your favorite? And who are some of your favorite porn stars? As we come into a society who is more accepting of itself and its ilks and its ills, what are some of the things that we're willing to admit? I think those will free us up, and those will ease your mind and ease your conscience, and one could have a more clearer vision of where society will be in the future. So yes, thank you, and we'll see you in the next edition of the Righteous Sinner podcast. Thank you for listening. This is your host, Clacker.